Welcome back for another video. FPL's finally back, and in a week the season resumes for Game Week 17. Hope you all enjoyed the break and you're ready to get back into FPL. There's daily content to come in the lead up to Game Week 17, which will be on December 26th, so hit subscribe so you don't miss out on all the important content to come. So we've got unlimited transfers up until the deadline, after which point the price changes resume as well. This video will be 20 players to avoid in your teams. Let's jump in and we'll start off with some players who are affected by the World Cup one way or another, and then we'll move on to others. It wouldn't be surprising if players are given a 2-week break after their last World Cup game before coming back to training, so this affects Croatia, Morocco, France and Argentina the most. Alvaro's had a sensational World Cup and he played a significant role in their progression. Before the break he actually looked like a great pick while Haaland was injured, but he is an avoid. Even once he's back in training, we want to see some consistent minutes before considering him, particularly as the striker position is stacked of options such as Haaland, Mitrovic, Nunez, Nketiah, Wilson, etc. Some other World Cup players to avoid are both the Martinezes, McAllister, Romero, Varane, Lloris, Konate, Aguerd and Saliba. Saliba was uninvolved for France, so there is a chance he's straight back in, though Gabriel is 0.1 mil cheaper, or White for 0.6 mil cheaper. Saliba's also on 4 yellows, a good chance to remind you that yellow cards haven't reset yet, so any player who picks up a 5th yellow card is suspended for a game. After Game Week 19 it's extended to 10 yellows. If Martinez from Villa is excluded from the squad, it'll be an interesting one, because as a consequence it'll be Olsen who fills in for Villa, and they face Liverpool in Game Week 17. A certain Mo Salah has had 6 weeks off, having not been involved in the World Cup, and he'll be raring to go, and he scored in Liverpool's most recent friendly. Olsen doesn't have a great record in goal in the Premier League. He's only played 3 times for Villa, conceding 4, 4 and 3 goals. Nunez is the other one who could thrive, we'll talk more on that later. Perisic leaves the World Cup having played 89, 85, 90, 105, 120, 90 and 90 minutes, an average of 95 minutes per game. Beyond that he's a rotation risk with Sessegnon, so he's one to avoid. A really impressive tournament from Croatia again though, 2nd place in 2018 and 3rd place in 2022. Luis Diaz was expected back after the World Cup, but he has suffered a setback, and as it stands both he and Jota have no return date set. However again this could be a blessing in disguise for Nunez, who we saw do very well right before the break in his absence. If Martinez misses out for the Liverpool game, the Salah and Nunez double up could be a wonderful differential and combination. Before the break only 3.4% of managers owned the two together. Another player who's picked up an injury is Gabriel Jesus, which could reportedly rule him out until the end of February. A huge miss for Arsenal, and again this could present an opportunity for 6.5 mil Nketiah though. He's a much greedier forward than Jesus, which isn't a bad thing necessarily in FPL. We saw him break into Arteta's first choice 11 at the end of last season, where he scored 5 goals in his last 7 games. Next up is Nico Williams, flavour of the month earlier in the season, and he was the go-to 4 mil defender, and even chipped in with a few clean sheets. However, with the acquisition of Aurier, we saw the two share minutes, and Nico was benched in 2 of the final 3 games before the break. Instead, Patterson from Everton looks like the one to consider. The Scot was impressive earlier in the season before he got injured. He's returned from injury now, and he looks the more sensible pick between the two. Perhaps there's a chance he shares minutes with Coleman as well, but Everton fans will argue that Coleman's not the same player he once was. He is 34 years old now, and Lampard is a big fan of Patterson. On the subject of cheap defenders, we're including Vestergaard, who after Nico is the 2nd most defender for 4.4 mil or less. Vestergaard's 3.9 mil and he hasn't played a minute all season. If you're looking for the cheapest possible defender, or you can't afford a Patterson for any reason, then Bueno from Wolves is the one. He's 3.9 mil as well, like Vestergaard, and he played the full 90 minutes in the 5 games before the break. It's very possible that doesn't continue, but he's the best option as far as the cheapest possible defender that could get minutes. Next up is Thiago Silva and Cucurella. Chelsea have a great fixture run when we resume, plus they've got the double Game Week 19. Potter's too unpredictable with his lineups to go for either of these though. Cucurella is versatile, able to play in a back 3, left wing back or a left back, though we have seen Potter experiment with Sterling and left wing back even. Thiago Silva can't be trusted to play all the games, so the double game week could even be a single game week for him, and probably be the Man City game between the two. Reece James is back from injury, and if we get confirmation that he's fully fit and available for selection, then he's the one. It could be a rotation as well, but he has less competition down that right side. Richarlison had a good World Cup and he was knocked out early enough to be available for selection, however he picked up a hamstring injury. He's still not been flagged on FPL yet, so this is one to tread carefully around. Spurs have a double game week in 20 to come, but don't take the bait. If we discover that Richarlison's out for a while and he'll miss the double game week entirely, then Kulusevski could be a very interesting pick in midfield. De Silva was another player who was flavour of the month earlier in the season, scoring in back-to-back games. His underlying numbers in terms of shots, unexpected goals are really poor though. He's only 4.2 mil, which is cheap, however you're better off trying to find the money for Bailey for 4.5 mil, or even better Andreas for 4.6 mil, who has a double game week 19. Man United restart with the best 3 fixtures, Forest, Wolves and then Bournemouth. Sancho's a hard avoid despite that. He reportedly won't return to Man United until he's physically and mentally ready to play for the club again. Ten Hag said, "We want to bring him back as quickly as possible, but I can't give a prognosis of when that will be. It's a combination of physical but also mental." Rashford or Antony look the better picks, or Bruno if you want an expensive punt from Man United. Number 20 is a controversial one to finish on, and we could be way off the mark here in terms of how this one plays out. It's Kane. He's another player who's on 4 yellows, though this isn't an overruling reason to think twice on picking him. As you probably know, he missed a crucial penalty in the World Cup quarter-finals to put England level. He'll no doubt be rerunning this one in his head every day. No one can say exactly what effect this will have on his Premier League football, but Southgate did say, quote, "Harry Kane's very, very low after the World Cup penalty miss." A slightly different circumstance, but last season Salah was essential for the first half of the season, and then he went off to AFCON mid-season, lost in the final, and he wasn't the same asset for the remainder. The other factor to consider is the alternative premiums to Kane. Haaland will be in most teams, and then De Bruyne and Salah are also very good options in midfield. There's also only 2 remaining striker spots if you've got Haaland, which could go to any of the strikers we mentioned earlier, like Mitrovic, who has a double game week, and Nunez. Let me know what you think of this one. And that concludes the video. If it was useful, please hit like before you go, and subscribe for lots more content to come ahead of the restart. The next video will be how my team's looking for Game Week 17. See you soon for the next one.